Welcome to ClickAI Radio, where you'll learn the secrets to transforming your small to medium business. Grant has been helping businesses transform using technology for over 30 years. Advanced technologies like artificial intelligence have been available only to large companies and advanced technical teams. Grant will discuss how you can use to leverage AI and other technologies to grow your small to medium business. As a gift, Grant is offering his ebook, AI for Sales Growth, at ClickAIRadio.com. Now, here's your host and biz tech geek, Grant Larsen.
Hey everybody, this is Grant Larsen. Thank you for joining ClickAI Radio. Okay, so COVID-19 has certainly been on all of our minds, and it has dramatically impacted our businesses. But to talk about that, I want to back up and tell you just a quick story. So one day, my kids were building something that they called a moving landmass. Now, it was a platform of wood and nails and duct tape. And the idea was to ride the platform, this moving landmass, down the street. So it did okay until the actual framework fell apart because the duct tape was not the answer, right? Although duct tape is an answer to a lot of things. I myself am a duct tape fan, but it didn't have the properties that were needed for this particular purpose. So sometimes in our businesses, we apply duct tape, right? And sometimes that's just fine. It's the right answer. We just got to hold something together, whether it's a quick business process or minor adjustments or changes in some messaging. Got to hold it together so that we can provide value to our customers. Well, coming out of COVID-19 may actually require some duct tape, of course, but in a lot of cases, it's going to require a more serious business re-architecting and looking at that. I'll give an example. Recently, I was looking at an article in the Washington Post. The title of it was, and you may have seen this, the title of it was The End of Small Business. I think this came out on July 9th. Take a look at it. And the writer does a good job describing his view, right? He basically says, look, it's probably over for a lot of small and medium businesses. Only the large corporations are going to survive this. He makes a couple comments about even when the economy recovers, more or less, obviously people are going to still need to buy things, but the coronavirus is going to, obviously change Main Street across the country, right? It's going to accelerate some changes that have been waiting a long time. And so a lot of the mom and pop stores are at risk. This is the viewpoint, of course, of this writer. He further went on to point out that in the 1980s, 1/2 of retail shopping took place in independent stores. And today, it's less than 1/4. He makes one other key point that I'll just call out here. He says, look, many small businesses and weaker corporations won't have enough capital to outlast the pandemic, and their customers will be claimed by a handful of winners with the cash and the technological infrastructure necessary to survive and prosper in the new environment. That's the context that we're living in. So that's end quote there. That's the context we're living in, right? Which is a lot of our small businesses are at risk, no doubt. No surprise to everybody. But it's going to be, hey, can you hold on to your cash and can you survive the pandemic long enough so that you can still have another win? I've done my share of investing and trading, and the real thought there is live to invest or trade another day, right? Well, as a business owner, can we live to invest and trade or do our business another day? So again, take a look at that Washington Post article. Interesting viewpoint. Flipping the coin, I also looked at another article. This is from Forbes, and they were talking about, their viewpoint was, hey, 6 ways to rebuild your small business after COVID-19. All right, so the Washington Post was just a little bit like, hey, the sky's falling, and in some cases it really has fallen. In other cases, though, like from the Forbes perspective, they're describing, hey, in order to come out of this, right, there's 6 things that you got to take a look at. Number one, and this was, this was April 30th, 2020 is when they wrote this article. So take a look at that one online. 6 ways to reopen as a small business. Number one, here's the 6 things they pointed out. Number one, assess the financial damage. Number 2, take a second look at your business plan. Number 3, consider whether you'll need funding to recover. Number 4, revamp your budget to account for new spending. Number 5, develop a timeline for rebuilding. Number 6, create a contingency plan on the next crisis. All right, now I want to talk about a couple of these for just a moment. So on step 3, where it talks about, hey, consider the funding that you might need to recover. Clearly, you've heard about the SBA, the Small Business Administration, that's been handing out some pretty decent loans recently to small businesses. I know a number of people, business owners, small business owners that have taken advantage of that. And I can see some real value, and I think the interest rates are really low. You see everything from like 2.75% to 4%. Those are some pretty decent rates. I think I also saw that you don't really start paying it back until like a year after you actually take the loan. So they give you 12 months. And then I think it was a 20-year sort of deal. So it's an awesome stimulus, of course, for the small to medium business. But earlier, when I first started this episode, I talked about duct tape, right? And here's the point I want to make on it. If I just apply for an SBA loan, but I continue to spend and execute on the same business model as I had before COVID-19, the likelihood of my business sustaining the big changes is much smaller. In other words, I probably won't survive. Here's the point. It's kind of like duct tape, right? It's if I just take the money and I don't really change the way I'm going to do business, I don't change my business architecture, my plan, etc., but I just take and apply it. I'm kind of duct taping the situation because the world has changed. As pointed out in that Washington Post article, whether or not you agree with everything there's some great insights there. The fact of the matter is, if we just take that sort of funding and we just apply it, again, without making any sort of adjustments, we're kind of duct taping it, right? And like my kids' big moving landmass, it's not going to hold up to the weight of things. So here's a thought. Rather, I'm going to suggest that you think about what assets do you already have which can give you insights in order to help you make adjustments. So I'm definitely a fan of taking advantage of the SBA loan, but don't just do that on its own. Let's also take a look at what assets you've already, as a business owner, developed over time, what you've captured, the information that you have available to you. Now, as you think about, revamping your budget, which was number 4 in that Forbes list, I'm going to encourage you to think about a few things here. First of all, you've got a lot of business information or data that you've collected over time, right? And in fact, lots of times you have a lot of data. It turns out that a lot of that data contains insights to patterns, your patterns, right? So it's the patterns of your good behavior and your bad, your bad behavior, things that you shouldn't have done, right? If you listen to some of my previous episodes, I shared some bad things that I did in some of my earlier startups 20 plus, 30 plus years ago. So easy to do the bad things, but I tell you what, rather than just taking the quick fix of the money, let's step back and look at your data, what it's going to tell you, right? And what the insights are that are there. So before you get too far, examine the data or get someone who knows how to do it, right? To examine the data and identify your best behaviors and the activities to carry forward, and then identify the worst behaviors, right? The things to actually stop doing. It makes no sense to come out of COVID-19 with a renewed plan and updated funding if we continue to spend our time and resources and money on bad behavior. So get someone to apply some artificial intelligence and data analytics on your data to help get you the insights. It actually is a good spend, right? It's a good spend to stop, sharpen the saw, and wasn't that a Stephen R. Covey thing? I think, yeah, he was like a sharpen the saw guy, right? This is sharpen the saw time, right? Step back, take some of that funding that you're getting from the SBA and apply it to doing some data analytics and some artificial intelligence to tell you, based on your patterns, the things that are good, that are not good, and do some predictive analysis on that so that you're spending your time on the better activities. You know, duct tape is a powerful thing. In fact, one of the things that our kids have done with it over the years is at birthday times or at Christmas times, they'll even wrap presents in duct tape, right? And that makes for quite the serious moment trying to get that stuff undone. So still a fan of the duct tape, but if we don't work smarter coming out of COVID-19, we're actually going to have a hard time surviving as small to medium businesses, right? Well, in fact, thinking back to that Washington Post article, he made the comment that a lot of that money is moved to, the large organizations, right? Like Amazon or Walmart or things like that. So as a small to medium business owner, we're obviously competing with organizations that leverage a lot of data. Amazon leverages a lot of data, right? They look at how you spend, they look at how you search, and so forth. Well, we actually have to play a similar game as a small to medium business owner. Now, the challenge is, as a small to medium business organization, I'm not going to be able to go hire, right, a large team to do that. Well, there's organizations that will help you through that. So you don't take on all that cost, but you get an opportunity to go at the data and the insights that are in there with very little cost to yourself. So I sure hope you take a moment to don't apply duct tape. Don't just take the money and keep doing the same things. Stop and examine what you got at your fingertips, stuff that's already there available to help you. All right, everyone, keep buying duct tape. I'm a fan. Let's use it for the right reasons. Thanks for joining. My name's Grant Larsen, and until next time, let's use our duct tape right.
Thank you for joining Grant on ClickAI Radio. Don't forget to subscribe and leave feedback. And remember to download your free ebook. Visit clickairadio.com now.